Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve Roy, the host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show and thanks for listening. Before I introduce today's guest, I just want to take a quick moment to invite all you dads who are listening right now and who are ready to start taking action on reclaiming your health and fitness and becoming better fathers and better men to join our online community. And the best way to do that is to apply to our private Facebook group, which can be found at fitdadnation.com/community. So my guest today is here to talk about one of the most hyped, but also one of the most confusing topics in the fitness space, and that's supplements. Fortunately, he's an expert when it comes to this stuff, and his name is Ryan Riggle. Ryan is the marketing director of 1stPhorm Supplements, which is a very well-known and well-respected supplement company. And he's also in charge of the Legionnaire program, which is their education-based platform for their affiliates. I've used the supplements, and they are high quality, absolutely. And we actually had a call with Ryan last year in our private membership group, and he just dropped a ton of knowledge on us, and I know I learned a lot, and so did the other guy. So, Ryan, thanks so much for being here.
Steve, I appreciate it. Excited to be on the show, and had a great time on that call last year, and can't wait to kick this off.
Yeah, man, great to talk to you again. So, this is probably one of the most common or popular topics in my community, but there's just so much confusion, with regards to supplements, which are good, which are lousy, which are scams. The issue is, and you know this, right, is supplement companies are just pushing because they're all desperately trying to sell us their products. So we really don't know what's legit and what's not.
That is very true. This industry is very profit driven, very marketing driven, and not necessarily very results driven, which opens up a huge opportunity for us. And I think why we've had some success is being able to really educate people on what do they need and what do they not need. Because when it comes down to it, you don't need supplements. Supplements are just that. They're supplementing something you're already doing. Well, our focus is really on getting the people to do this something before we even get them on the supplements, because we can't help them if they're not doing the other things.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And so what I love about what you're doing, and you're not here to pitch 1stPhorm, and I'm not here to promote it, but what you guys do is awesome, because you're teaching us about the reasons why you might need them. But before that, you're teaching the basics, which you really don't see in this industry because it's so lucrative. It's so easy to sell supplements with a flashy label and a few testimonials and, so-and-so is using it. Boom, sale, right? But you guys aren't going that route. You have a high quality product, and then you're actually teaching people, you know what? Hey, you don't really need this stuff, but if you're going to use it, this is why it makes sense. This is why it doesn't. So I love it, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, supplements are a form of nutrition, and that's the way you really have to look at them, is how do they fit into your day, not how do I sell a, quote, magic pill or magic powder that's going to make you lose 50 pounds or put on 20 pounds of muscle in the next 8 weeks. It's how does it work into my nutrition? And it's really easy to get lost in all the information today on the internet in what's true and what's not true. As you comb through all these different websites, it's difficult for the consumer to figure out what do they need or what would be beneficial.
Yeah, and it's my community. I teach the basics, and it's kind of, I almost feel lame because it's not sexy to tell guys, what, you don't need that. What do you think about these keto supplements that'll put you in ketosis? Or what do you think about creatine? Or what do you think about pre-workouts or post-workouts? And guys, listen, I probably can make a few bucks, maybe it would be okay, but let's talk about what's really important, right? How's your exercise right now? Have you been consistent with it for a while? Are you eating well most of the time? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking a ton of water? You're just doing some basic stuff. And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And as everybody wants a shortcut, a boost, an edge. And so, the first place they'll turn is, well, the supplement looks pretty cool. And my friend John said it's kicking his ass. So I'm going to take that. I just have to shake my head. And so, I want to talk to you about, some of the myths, what really is useful, what is absolutely worthless, and kind of break that down a little bit.
No, I think there's a theme here, right? That there are certain things you need and certain things that you don't. And the body hasn't changed a lot over the last couple thousand years. It still works the same way as it's always worked. And quite honestly, your body is not really interested in looking great or being super fit. It cares about survival. And it's always going to do that first before it tries to get itself to lose fat or put on muscle. And, there are certain things the body runs off of, and there are other things it does not run off of. So when you talk about all the hype in the industry and all these different supplements, like protein is protein. And although that's true, it's not really true. When you start trying to mess with really what is a protein, and you get into trying to make it this way or trying to make it that way, where it's not really what the body is looking for, you're not going to get the results, because you're not feeding the body the way the body wants to be fed. You're not giving the body what it wants. And you look at a pre-workout supplement. Nobody needs a pre-workout supplement. We certainly sell a lot of them, but that's not something I'm ever going to promote as, hey, here's what you need. Yeah, it may give you a little boost of energy, and it's not going to directly affect your results. But there's probably more marketing out there for pre-workouts than anything else in the industry, and it's about the last thing that somebody needs. So I think that's where I really appreciate what you've done and being so focused on teaching and educating and sticking to those basics, because that's where 95% of the population lives, is in that area where they need to know the basics. They don't know that right now, so they get a little overwhelmed and buy into some of that hype on the pre-workouts, or branched chain amino acid, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's talk about pre-workouts for a minute, because you brought it up, and so I wrote a post a couple years ago called "The Dark Side of Taking Pre-Workouts," and I've taken. When I say I've taken a lot of pre-workouts, I've taken a ton. I've tried dozens of brands. Had some great results. Some were horrible. Some made me sick. And so, my article that I wrote has reached a ton of people. It gets like 25,000 hits a month. I've built this massive email list just based on that one article, and it's basically saying all the reasons not to take them. Right, and in my email sequence after, if they join the email list, it talks about the reasons that it may make sense for you, but it goes into detail about all of the reasons why you shouldn't, and these are the basics, and it's helped a lot of people. And so, but it's such a hot market, and you can step in here and tell me, but I believe that other than the caffeine and maybe a few other things, a lot of this. And maybe this is for most supplements, it's largely based on the placebo effect. Like, people think they're getting this great benefit. They've got this awesome boost of energy. And other than a few things like niacin, which will make your face or fingers tingle, that you feel like you're working, it's working. It's all in your head. What do you think about that?
A lot of it is. Most pre-workouts are just overloaded with caffeine, and it does give you that great energetic feeling. But besides that, most of them are underdosed on some of the ingredients that could potentially help you. There's certainly some benefits that have been proven from, creatine monohydrate or beta-alanine. But more than anything, those pre-workouts are just a motivator in a bottle. Mm-hmm. They're not producing a direct response from a results standpoint. Certainly, you can open up the blood vessels and get more oxygen to the body, and there's benefits there, but it's not as significant as most people think or hope or would like them to be. Like you said, a lot of it's just kind of that placebo effect. And you know what? You've used a lot of pre-workouts. I've used a lot of pre-workouts. Does make you feel good. And if that's the thing that gets you into the gym and gets you going, there's a positive there. But to feel like, okay, here's the thing I need in order to get results, that's where a lot of people go wrong.
Yes, and that's just it. It becomes a mental crutch versus something physical. I take pre-workout. I'll take it twice a day because I just like the flavor of it, and I don't feel any more energetic at all. because I'm so immune to the stimulants now. I've taken so many over the years. But I like the flavor. I don't even take it before I go to the gym. I just drink it in the morning because I enjoy sipping on it and it tastes good. But yeah, so people rely on, I can't get a good workout unless I take this. And, that's what you and I are both trying to kind of clear up for people is, no, you don't, right?
Yeah. Not something you need to be focused on. If we want to talk about and focus on post-workout, I'll do that all day long with someone because that's going to have a direct, result on what they're doing. But pre-workout, again, it's like you don't need it. If you want it, that's what gets you into the gym. You'll see a little bit better performance, but it's really not needed.
Yeah, but that does say a lot, though. What you just said is, if they're buying it for $30, $50, whatever, and it gets their ass in the gym, hey, maybe it's worth it, right? But the idea is to educate them as to, listen, guys, this is the deal. I mean, it's not really doing a whole lot. A lot of these companies are putting these, proprietary blends in there, which I'm sure they're using, bottom of the barrel ingredients in low doses, fillers, just, stuff that's just garbage. But because, it's been hyped and promoted and you see it everywhere, people just assume that it works and they take it and they're like, "Ooh, I feel great," when, like you said, it's mostly in their head. So yeah, a frustrating thing for me.
Absolutely. That feeling in your head's coming from the caffeine. You could get that from a cup of coffee.
Yep, exactly. That's just fine. Just fine. So as far as post-workouts, and I know last time we spoke, you this was probably the biggest topic for you. Like, you went into detail about the importance of a high-quality post-workout. And before you jump into that, though, I don't know if you've noticed this trend on social media, but I have, especially on Instagram. And it seems like all these big, high profile, we'll call them coaches loosely, are just talking about, well, you don't really need a post-workout at all. There's no 45-minute window of, anabolic, whatever. And it doesn't really matter the timing. And as long as you're covering your calories, that's like the real big trend is, it drives me crazy. Everyone's jumping on that bandwagon, but most of them, almost all of them, probably aren't experts and have done the research and due diligence that you have into this particular topic. So I want to get your thoughts on a post-workout.
Yeah, this is really where we made a name for ourselves, because this is a topic, like you said, a lot of people don't understand. They don't know a lot about. A lot of the supplement companies shy away from because it requires education, and they don't really want to spend the time to educate the consumer. But post-workout is the one and only time that a supplement would trump a whole food, because your body cannot digest a whole food meal as quick as it can digest a whey protein isolate. That is, again, the one and only time where I can say that you're better off with a supplement than you are a whole food. The rest of the day, if we can do it with whole food, that's great. But in a post-workout setting, the idea is to stop that catabolic effect as soon as possible, because you're putting in the work in the gym. You want to get the best results out of it. And your body requires a couple of things after that workout in order to get the results that you're wanting to get. Again, going back to the body's all about survival, it doesn't care that you just worked out and you're trying to put on some muscle or you're trying to burn some fat. It cares about, well, how do I survive? And the first thing that your body wants to do or needs to do after you put it through hell like that is it has to replenish its glycogen stores, which is the muscle energy. And it's going to do that regardless of what you do after your workout. If you wait an hour to eat, it is still going to replenish its glycogen. That's the first thing it's going to do. It has to from a survival standpoint. Well, we know that. So why not give the body exactly what it needs so that it can move on to doing the other things that you want it to do, which is, repair the muscle that you just tore down during that workout, which is going to require protein. So again, the faster that we can replenish glycogen stores and the faster that we can get protein into the muscle, the better results that we're going to get. Now, after that, yeah, you're certainly still going to have to eat. Again, it's not magic from the standpoint that that's all you have to do. You still have to have your nutrition in check. You're still going to have to eat an hour after that, that post-workout shake that you have in order to keep those results rolling. But there's there's really not a way to argue that this is how the body works. And when we designed our post-workout, it was understanding how the body works, and that doesn't ever change. So we have a glucose supplement that you mix in with your whey protein isolate, and an isolate is just a protein that's been isolated from carbs and fats, which would slow down digestion, and we want as fast a digestion as possible. That carbohydrate, that glucose, which would be called glycogen within the muscle, your body makes glycogen out of glucose. So we use a pure dexanhydrous glucose, which is a dehydrated glucose, meaning that it is exactly what the body needs in order to replenish glycogen stores. It doesn't need some synthetic form of it. No, it just needs the simplest sugar available, which is a dexanhydrous glucose. When you do that, you replenish the glycogen, but you also spike your insulin levels, which might be scary for some people to hear. But insulin is a carrier hormone, and it's going to shuttle the protein into the muscle as fast as possible. Because again, that isolate protein will digest extremely quickly, and we go the extra step to hydrolyze the protein as well, which means to pre-digest it or pre-break it down into smaller pieces so it doesn't have to go through a full digestion process within the body. So again, all we're doing is we're stopping that catabolic effect from the workout and putting our body in a position to be able to go ahead and move into what we're trying to do, which is build more lean muscle. The body doesn't care about building lean muscle unless it really has nothing else to worry about. Then it will repair and that muscle and grow it larger. But it won't do that if you're not worried about the post-workout window and you're saying, well, I'll just eat at some point. Your body still needs glycogen. So if you go eat an hour or two later, it's going to take whatever you ate and it's going to have to break it down and convert it into a carbohydrate, break it down further into a sugar and into a glucose, then dehydrate the glucose and then upload it into the muscle as glycogen. Now, if you're eating a chicken breast an hour or two later and you understand that the body doesn't care that you're eating a chicken breast, which is protein, it needs carbohydrates first and foremost before it's going to utilize the protein. Your body's actually pretty cool in this sense that it would take that and it would convert that protein into a carbohydrate through a process called gluconeogenesis. Sorry, that's a mouthful, but
yeah.
And it's not a quick process, right? I mean, this is not exactly what's happening, but you're basically turning a chicken breast into a potato and then breaking it down into a sugar. That's essentially what the body's doing because that's what it needs to do. That's what it cares about doing. That's what it has to do for survival. So all we're doing is we're giving the body what it needs in order to do what it wants to do. So then you can in turn get it to do what you're trying to do or want to do, which would be in this case, build lean muscle.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. So, in layman terms, what is somebody looking for when they look at the shelf? What's the 2 or 3 key phrases that they should be looking for when they look at a label to know that this is probably one of the best, products to use because there's a million of them out there?
Yeah. So you're looking for 2 different things. You're looking for a pure dexanhydrous glucose or a dehydrated glucose supplement. Now, glucose is sugar. So if you look at the back of it, you'll see that the sugar content is extremely high. Now, that's not processed sugar. It's not table sugar. It's glucose, which is the simplest form of a sugar that you can get. That product is something you want to use in combination with a whey protein isolate. Whey being the most bioavailable protein source from a supplement. An isolate meaning that it is intentionally isolated from carbs and fats so that it can digest more quickly. Beyond that, you want to look for something that's low temperature processed, which is something we can certainly get into if you want, and it's an extremely important piece of the puzzle that isn't talked about a lot within the industry. The low temperature processing plays a factor in how well your body can utilize that protein. Whey protein is a byproduct of cheese manufacturing. You ever heard of Little Miss Muffet? She sat on her tuffet eating her curds and whey. She's eating cheese and protein. That's basically what she's doing. Well, it's a gelatinous substance when it comes off as a byproduct. Well, it has to be dried out. And in order to dry something out, you have to expose it to heat. Well, the thing about protein, or the thing about really any nutrient, is that when you expose it to heat, you begin to denature it or destroy it to some degree, breaking some of the bonds within the molecules. The higher the heat, the more you denature that protein. Well, when you look back at the popularity of protein supplements, or really the knowledge about them and the benefits from them, it grew very, very rapidly, to the extent that you even had food manufacturers jumping in and trying to fortify their foods with whey protein, which created a huge, huge demand within the industry, because now you're trying to supply Triscuits with some fortifying protein, right? So they can claim that there's protein in Triscuits, because everyone loves, it says protein on it, it must be good for me. So they have to meet their label claim, so they have to put some protein in there. Well, as that demand went up, well, if you think about it, you have to introduce the heat. Well, Steve, how do you dry something out faster?
Mm-hmm. Turn up the heat.
Turn up the heat,
yeah.
Right? So now you're looking at a process that in some cases will go as high as 1,600 degrees. Well, that completely destroys that protein fraction, because it denatures it almost completely. I mean, if you think about it, think about a chicken breast, right? Go buy a package of chicken breast at the store. You come home, go outside, you turn on your barbecue grill, and you crank it up to high. Now, let's assume that you can get that grill up to 1,600 degrees, which you're not going to be able to do. And if you can, be very, very careful. But throw a chicken breast on that grill right after 20 minutes and pull that chicken breast off of the grill. What's that thing going to look like?
Yeah, dead.
Yeah, charred, mangled, black, completely dried out, hard. Now go back inside. A few hours later, pull that chicken breast out of the crock pot. What does it look like? It's plump, it's white, it's juicy, it pulls apart easy with a fork. It's got more nutritional value, right? Try eating that one off of the grill. More than likely, it's going to give you an upset stomach, because your body doesn't recognize it as protein anymore. So it's considered waste, and your body's trying to eliminate that waste. Well, that's no different than whey protein in the processing of these powders. The higher the heat, the more denatured or burnt that protein is, the less able your body is to use it. So it takes a lot of these protein powders, and you ingest it, and your body's like, I can't use this. What do I do with it? So it tries to eliminate it.
And we have no way of knowing that, right? I mean, we buy a tub at wherever for, you can buy a 10-pound tub of protein, whey protein, for $30, and you're like, this is a great deal. But what they don't tell you is, they subjected it to this super high temperature processing, and it's crap.
No, exactly. And they're not going to tell you, hey, heads up, just a warning that this is crap protein in here, but it's cheap. So people just, they feel like, oh, protein is protein. Yeah, I mean, it is until you start processing it, and depending on how you process it. So we use a low temperature processed method where you're basically taking that gelatinous subject and you're spreading it out on drying tables and letting it dry, which again, it's still drying. So it's still denaturing to some extent, right? But denature is a lot less at 175 degrees than it does at 1,600 degrees. So it's no different than, this is true of any protein. I don't care if it's your eggs. Your eggs start as a liquid and you cook them, they become a solid. Well, you're denaturing that protein to some extent. So this is something we understand, is that, well, if your body can't utilize the protein, well, then what good is it? And you say, well, I look at the bottle, how am I going to know? You're not until you get home. And if you're using a low quality, high heat processed protein, that's where a lot of people, and where protein powders got a bad name, is they give me an upset stomach, or they make me feel bloated or gassy. Well, that's just the chemical reaction within your gut when it's trying to eliminate whatever this is, which in this case, your body just thinks it's a waste, so it's trying to eliminate it. That's how you know you're using a high temperature process. And really the other way is low temperature processing is extremely expensive, which is why most companies don't do it. because there's no need to, right? The general public doesn't know the difference. So why would I spend 3 or 4 times as much making my protein when it doesn't matter to the consumer, because the consumer doesn't know best? Well, that's where we feel morally wrong, because we do know better. So we'll spend the 3 or 4 times more to make ours, because we understand the better results that's going to give people. And I think if there's anything from a protein standpoint that people need to know, it's that there is a difference between proteins. And when you go to one of these big box stores and you're picking up a 10-pound jug and you're getting it for $24.99, there's a reason it's $24.99.
Mm-hmm.
You get what you pay for.
Yep. And that's just it. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard people say, "Oh, my stomach is bloated. I don't feel so great after having protein shakes." That's just it right there. And I am going to give a plug to one of your products, which I've told you this before, but the level 1 protein powder that you guys have, the ice cream sandwich flavor is the one I initially tried. And I tell everybody that I can that this is not embellishment at all. This is by far the best tasting protein I've ever had. When mixed with almond milk, it tastes exactly like an ice cream sandwich. There's no chemically flavor. There's no aftertaste. There's no processed funky taste to it. It's like straight ice cream sandwich, and it's delicious.
It's my favorite still, and we've had it our number 1 selling flavor for I can't tell you how many years.
Oh man, it's so good.
It's delicious. And let's go back to that chicken breast example, right? So you pulled that one off the grill and you pulled the one out of the crock pot. Which one's going to taste better? Well, it's a lot easier to flavor that one out of the crock pot than it is to flavor the one off the grill that's charred and burnt and mangled and hard. I mean, that's why it's easier for us to make a really delicious protein powder, and why level 1 is so popular is people love it. It's like a treat. They can't wait to get to their next meal and make some excuse on why they can't eat their chicken, broccoli, and rice so they can have an ice cream sandwich shake.
Yeah. And it's funny that we don't ever hear about this. Before, you had shared this on our call last year about the processing temperature and how it affects the protein, but I had never heard it before, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I think it's largely because no one wants to talk about it because they're too busy trying to make money off of cheap products.
Well, yeah, you think about it, the supplement companies are not going to tell you about it because they tell you about the importance of low temperature processed protein. They kind of shoot themselves in the foot, because now they're telling you to stay away from what they're making. They can't afford to do that. And nobody else in the industry was doing it. So if nobody does it, then nobody has to say a thing. And it's kind of like this dark secret within the industry.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. I'm sure anybody listening right now is like, holy crap, that's scratching your head thinking, wow, why haven't I heard about this? And why have been buying this cheap protein for so long? And yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And I won't knock I'm not going to knock anybody. A lot of the supplement companies, you've seen them pop up by the hundreds.
Oh yeah.
And they don't really know any better because there's a very low barrier to entry into the supplement market. I can call any number of co-manufacturers and say, hey, I want to make a protein or a pre-workout. And they send you a list of, hey, here's what we make. Which one do you want to buy? Send us a label. We'll slap it on and send it to you. Well, the supplement company is not really involved with the design of that supplement. They're just picking out of a price list and going, yep, we'll go with this one. They don't really know what's going into that supplement or what should go into it, right? It's just, hey, I want to be in this space. I want to sell supplements. I can make a cool label and we'll make some money. And
yep.
There's got to
what makes it worse is anybody that walks in off the street into a GNC or Vitamin Shop, Vitamin World, they're more than likely talking to somebody that has very little experience with actually, knowing something about supplements themselves. Oftentimes it's some 20-year-old kid that's been working there for 3 weeks. And then he's going to spout off all these amazing things that you have to buy, which just is ridiculous. But sadly, the uninformed person, which are most people, oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, I better buy that. And then they've got all these worthless supplements. They just spent $300 and nothing's changing because they're still 40 pounds overweight. Their diet still sucks and they're barely exercising, but they have all these cool supplements. And that was a waste. It just bothers me to no end.
Yeah, no knock on the 20-year-old. He just hasn't been doing it long enough to know any better.
Yeah. He's just doing his job, and unfortunately, it's not helping anybody. There's of course there's other examples, but so okay. So let's talk about a couple of worthless supplements. So And I don't want to go off on a tangent. I have my own opinions, but I want to hear from you, and your opinion, your experience. What are some things that, are extremely popular, but either aren't worth buying or just worthless? I mean, just really, we don't have a need for them at all.
I guess you could argue that you don't have a need at all for any of them. But one that's probably one of the most popular and talked about and marketed outside of pre-workouts would be branched chain amino acids, BCAAs. BCAAs are amino acids. That's what protein is built on, is amino acids. They're the building blocks. Well, and the BCAAs are 3 of the amino acids, and they do have a place in the body, and they're important. The problem is that they don't do a whole lot on their own. And here's the way I like to describe it is, so you have your essential amino acids, which there are 9 of them, and you have your non-essential amino acids. All total, there are 20 or arguably 22. But for all intents and purposes, we'll say there are 20. Muscle is made up of 8 of those. The branch chains, so you want to think about a construction site. In order for a construction site to work, you have to have foremen. You got to have the bosses there. But if you only have bosses, no work's going to get done. They're there to manage, to kind of, unlock the gate, turn on the lights, get the equipment fired up, make sure there's keys in the tractor, all of that. But if the workers never show up, nothing's going to get built. Well, the whole point of protein, not the whole point, but the point when it comes to fitness is we want to try to build lean muscle. We want to build muscle up, which is going to require these amino acids. Well, I say that the BCAAs are kind of like the foreman on the job. In order to get the muscle protein synthesis process started, you have to have those branched chain amino acids. They're the ones that unlock the gate, turn on the lights, get the thing ready to roll. But the other essential amino acids, if they don't show up, there's nobody to do the work. Those other essential amino acids are the ones that go into building that muscle. So you need them both. So to say, a branched chain amino acid in a post-workout setting is what I need, it's not. You're leaving some other amino acids out that that are essential. You have to have them. And they're called essential amino acids because your body cannot synthesize them. You've got to get them from whole foods or from some type of supplement source. But a lot of people rely on BCAAs because they think, well, this is what's going to help me burn fat. Or if I sip on these all day long, I'm going to burn muscle, I'm going to build muscle all day long. I'm going to burn fat all day long. Well, they're really no different than the pre-workout that you use, Steve. They taste good. Beyond that, if you're just kind of sipping on them all day, you're not getting any benefit from them. Now, are they completely worthless? No, there's some arguments to be made that during a workout, there are benefits if you're doing a little longer workout to blunt the catabolic effect, meaning we're going to slow down the breakdown of muscle if we're feeding the body BCAAs during a workout. And there are certainly a lot of studies that will support that. But most people, they're not working out long enough or hard enough to really get the benefits from it. They benefit much more by eating a meal an hour before they went to the gym and make sure they're doing their post-workout correctly. They're going to get better results than anything they do during their workout with branched chain amino acids. But branched chain amino acids are pretty inexpensive to produce. You can flavor them. They're pretty easy to flavor, so you can make some great flavors. And then you can hype it up as more than it is, and you can sell a lot of them. So, well, let me see if I'm in the industry, and you're telling me I can make a high profit margin product that people love and it tastes good, and I can tell them half truths and they'll buy it. Let's jump on. So to say it's worthless, I can't say it's worthless, but I'd say it's probably the most overhyped supplement that you hear about.
Okay, so maybe Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, those type of guys that are in the gym or were in the gym for hours and hours and hours just beating their body down. Maybe it makes more sense than the average dad who's in there for 45 minutes, moderate intensity, just doing your regular stuff to keep fit and healthy, and which is most people.
Right, and really, if you're going to get into a Ronnie Coleman situation or somebody that's in the gym for an hour and a half and they're hitting it hard the entire time, you're talking about heavier weights and you need endurance, or even if you're doing like a 30-mile bike ride, you would benefit from branched chain amino acids, but not by themselves. You would also need some type of carbohydrate source. Carbs are what your body prefers to run on. That's a fuel source. Protein is not the preferred fuel source for the body. It wants to run off of carbs. So in that situation, you would want something that had some branched chain amino acids in it, but along with some type of electrolytes for hydration purposes and carbohydrates for fuel. So again, in that instance, the branched chain amino acids are beneficial, but they can't stand on their own a lot, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, so in your opinion, what do you think the top few, anyway, a few supplements besides, we talked about the post-workout, we'll include that, but if someone's going to choose a couple of supplements to keep in their cabinet and they're doing the right things and they're training hard, what are a few things at the top of the list?
All right. So now we're into here's the secret, right, of this entire podcast. This is where I'm going to drop all the information everyone's been wanting to know.
Yes.
Remember back when your mom was like, "Hey, Steve, take your Flintstones multivitamin today."
Yes.
She was right.
I love those.
They were good, weren't they?
Yeah.
She was right. A multivitamin is the most important and most beneficial supplement that you can find. And I will say, I won't stop there. I'll say really what I consider the foundational supplements or nutrients. Talk about micronutrients in general, which you don't find all of them that you need within most multivitamins. And then again, how a multivitamin is processed also makes a difference. Again, we talk about heat and things like that. But I think where we've really excelled was certainly in the post-workout arena and teaching people there with protein and carbohydrates, but it's in the multivitamin or micronutrient space, where people, I say in today's day and age, it's been this way a long, long time. People struggle to get the nutrients in that their body needs to function optimally. Your body, every process that happens in the body is driven by micronutrients. So if you're deficient in any micronutrient, your body is not working as efficiently as it can, right? It's having to steal from here to get what it needs over here and convert this into this because, I'm low on vitamin D. And so I'm struggling over here. So if you can just set that foundation and you can make a strong foundation, well, then you set yourself up for success, because then anything you're building on top of that is going to be more solid. No different than a house, right? If you have a foundation of a house that's crumbling, it's deficient, meaning it's got holes in it, anything you build on top of that foundation isn't going to be as strong or as solid. It's extremely important to have that foundation set. And I would throw into that category an omega-3 fish oil supplement, because the vast majority of us really, really struggle in getting omega-3s because we don't eat a lot of fresh fish. And certainly in the United States, in the vast majority of the United States, and those healthy fats are extremely important because we do a really, really good job of getting omega-6s in. But if we don't balance those with omega-3s, we see a lot of inflammation, and inflammation causes a lot of issues within the body, from the heart to the brain to the joints, really to anything you're trying to do, the immune system, even for a weight loss standpoint. And then I would also put some types of greens powder in there, the vegetables and phytonutrients that you get from those, even some of the better ones out on the market contain a good probiotic blend in there, some digestive enzymes that are really helping in the gut. You're going to hear more and more about gut health over the next few years and the importance of it because of the research that's been done there recently. We're starting to see the importance of having a healthy gut and being able to digest and utilize the nutrients that are going into the body, or efficiently eliminate those that we don't need, as well as regulating insulin levels and things like that, because our diets in society they lack the nutrients that our body really, really needs. Those are really those foundational areas that you're going to benefit from most. Now, you don't need them. you can certainly go to the grocery store and you can buy the vegetables you need in order to get all the micronutrients that you need. I'll warn you, Steve, we've done this and we've gone to the store and we've figured it out. It'll cost about $150 a week to buy all of the vegetables and fruits that you would need to get the proper amount of micronutrients in your diet. I don't know about you, but I don't feel like spending $150 on vegetables, nor do I want to try to figure out how to cook those. And I'm not going to eat that many vegetables in a week. So a lot of people really, really benefit from just that simple. And it's not a sexy answer to most people to say, hey, the best supplement in the world is a multivitamin. I know, because you don't feel it. You're not energized from it, immediately. You don't notice this immediate weight loss or muscle gain, but it would be the most important supplement for really anyone.
Yeah, you just said what I was going to say. I was going to say it's not sexy, it's boring, just like people talking about the importance of drinking water. Like it's boring, but at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. And so, yeah. So I want to ask you a few questions here. So I mentioned that you were coming on the show to my private group, and we had some questions specifically. So I'm going to try to get those answered. And so there's some pretty interesting questions here. But so on the lines of the multivitamin, so this guy had asked, does it make sense to just take a regular multivitamin versus a specific plan that your body needs based on an analysis that you went to your doctor, you got either blood work or a hair sample or whatever, and okay, you're short into vitamin D and you need this and you need that, or do you think, hey, that's not necessarily necessary? A good quality multivitamin is probably going to cover most of that, and you're not going to be like super deficient where you're going to have scurvy or some other crazy, problem because of it.
Right. No, it's a good question, and I would say, for most people, a good high-quality multivitamin is going to be enough. Now, if you wanted to do an analysis, and I'll say I've done this to see if I was short anywhere. And me personally, I was short in vitamin D3. So, and that's with taking a good high-quality multivitamin, just because there's not enough vitamin D in a multivitamin to give you what you need. And understand that when you look at like the percent daily values, that are recommended, that's just to survive, right? Mm-hmm. The government puts those out. This is the minimum that you need in order to keep functioning as a human being. If you're active in the gym, or you have an active job, or you're not completely sedentary all day long, every day, you're requiring more than that recommended daily value, right? So a good high quality multivitamin, you're going to look at it and you're going to see you've got 300% daily value of this and 1200% of this. There's a reason for that, that we need more of those things. And typically because of our diets, you're going to be short in those things naturally. But I would just say, in caution, when looking for a multivitamin, there's really one thing to consider. You want something that's capsulated, not a hard pressed tablet. Again, this goes back to the processing of the supplement. A hard-pressed tablet is typically heat-pressed. It is hard-pressed, and it's coated with a gelatin, which does preserve it for longer, which means it's got a really, really long shelf life. So any of these bottles that you pick it up and you shake it, it sounds like a bottle full of rocks. Mm-hmm. Those are hard-pressed tablets. Well, your body has an extremely hard time breaking those down, because by the time it gets through that coating that's on there to preserve the product, there's not enough time to break down the rest of the vitamin before it passes through the body and is eliminated. And you can get online and you can search for x-rays of multivitamins, and you can see them sitting in the stomach or sitting in the intestinal tract as a whole tablet, because the body's not able to break it down. So you want something that's capsulated. In some cases you want to look for something that's gender specific. Male and females are different, Steve, just so you know. Mm-hmm. Not tremendously in some areas, but in some areas they definitely vary. So there are certain nutrients that a female would need that a male doesn't necessarily need, and some hormone regulation that she'd benefit from if she had a good gender-specific multivitamin.
Sure. It's funny that you just brought that up, because that was my next question. Somebody had actually asked capsule versus tablet. So you just answered that. And actually, there's another question about multivitamins, even though we know how boring it is, but people really want to know about it.
I'm glad they're asking.
So this guy had said he had heard a nutrition expert talk about how multivitamins are largely useless because many vitamins and minerals should be taken at different times of the day and in conjunction with other vitamins and minerals to be most effective. So he's wondering if you should be taking multivitamin or should we instead take individual vitamins and minerals at specific periods along with, other ones to make it ideal, like, the best way to take them.
No, absolutely. Be absorbed. Yeah. No, and I mean, sounds like somebody that's fairly well educated, right? Is he correct? Yes, he's correct. That you would benefit more by understanding exactly how the body breaks down certain nutrients, what nutrients make other nutrients absorb better. But here's the deal. We're, again, with the vast majority of people, I can't put a percent on it, but I would say 95% of people are deficient somewhere. So doing something is better than doing the nothing that they're doing now. And that would really be my answer is, and you start talking about, sustainability. Well, if I've got to take certain vitamins or minerals, capsules 8, 9, 12 times a day throughout the day, probably going to miss some, probably not going to stick to the routine, which means I'm definitely worse off than just taking a high quality multivitamin once or twice a day. Technically he's correct, but for most people, it's irrelevant because they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to put themselves on a regime, and we're not chemists. I mean, and who has the time to go through that, right? And all right, I'm going to take 17 different vitamins and minerals at this hour and this half hour, and I'm going to do these together. I can't even remember to take one pill per day, let alone 40. So yeah, but yes, okay. Right. So that makes sense.
Take your multivitamin, and then let's worry about your protein timing throughout the day, making sure you're getting protein in regular intervals. You're going to be 1,000% better than you were before. Okay.
This guy wants to know, at what point in training should you start even taking supplements? And I'm guessing he's referring to things maybe like creatine, protein powders, like, what you typically think of supplements, not necessarily what you talked about, fish oils and multivitamins.
Yeah. No. When should you? There's not really a wrong answer here. I would say your foundational supplements like the fish oil, the multivitamin, superfood phytonutrient greens powder, whether you're training or not training, you should be utilizing those. When you start training, you're going to benefit. I would even say, a protein supplement, whether you're training or not training. Again, you're just filling the gap on meals throughout the day. If you can't eat a whole food meal and you're literally stuck somewhere, a protein shake's going to be beneficial, and that's regardless if you're training or not. When you get into training, that post-workout supplementation will be beneficial from day one. You start getting into creatine and things like that, some of the pre-workouts. Again, creatine technically would be beneficial from day one. It's going to take actually a week or two for the creatine to build up in the body to the level that it needs in order to really produce much of a result. But again, creatine is a supplement. Creatine naturally occurs, in red meat mainly, but most of us don't eat enough red meat to get the amount of creatine in that we need, and it is beneficial for results. So when's the right time, or when should you? Again, from day one, a lot of them you could benefit from, but it really comes down to the person. What are they going to stick with? Again, we'll go back to the beginning of the conversation. If the pre-workout is what gets them into the gym to begin with, well, then I'd say day one is the time that you start taking that. But I don't really want someone to be reliant on that. I'd rather them go to the gym and be able to hold themselves accountable and get their day in and day out, or 3-4 times a week, whatever it is. The supplements they're going to make things easier. They'll produce a better result. Again, they're not necessary. They're just going to give you more of what you're looking to do, make it a little bit easier. I know that's not really an answer to the question, but I think the answer is there's not really a specific answer.
Okay. So when you just mentioned creatine, and so, most of the guys listening to this show are, we'll call them middle-aged dads, 35, 40, 45. So, creatine is obviously probably one of the most, if not the most researched performance supplement, right? It's got tons and tons and tons of research. it's just fine. It's good for enhancing performance. You can certainly build muscle by using it. I've used it extensively in the past, but as a busy dad, right, where our main goal isn't to be super strong and or compete or do anything in particular, right? We want to look better for our wives. We want to feel good. We want to have a lot of energy. Maybe we want to get rid of that gut, right? I mean, my personal opinion is, why? Why would you want to take creatine? I mean, I just don't see the point in it. I mean, is it going to hurt you? No. It's a pain in the ass. I mean, you have to load it up and drink a ton of water with it, and you have to remember to take it, and you have to consistently take it and then cycle off of it. It's like, I mean, why? Like, if you're just a regular guy that just wants to, go to the gym, hit it hard, feel good, I don't see the need for it at all.
I would say, again, do you need it? No, you don't need it. Your body will be just fine without it. It has some anyway. You're eating some in your diet. So, but why would you take it? Because it is going to produce a little bit better result. It's going to keep those muscles hydrated. It's going to allow them to grow better. And if I'm that normal dad and I want to look good for my wife, I want to look good, I want to be able to take my shirt off at the beach. And I'm not necessarily concerned with having a six pack, but I don't want to have a beer gut either. Well, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out hard and I want the best out of that workout. That's why I would take it. It is going to help produce a better result. It's not needed, but if I can get better results by using it, that would be my why. And really, when you start talking about the normal dad and what does he want to look like, he doesn't want to step on stage and be a bodybuilding competitor. He just want, like you said, want to look good at the beach, want to be able to take my shirt off, want my wife to be attracted to me. Well, that requires muscle, and I think a common stereotype with people that don't work out is, well, I don't want to go to the gym and lift all these weights because I'm going to get big and bulky.
It's not that easy.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't turn out to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in the next 2 weeks, after you make your resolution. But you do need lean muscle in order to look good and to have that body composition that you want to have, right? And with some guys, it's not even about weight loss. Well, really, with nobody, it's about weight loss. It's about fat loss, but that's a whole different topic. They want to look good. Well, you got to burn some fat. Well, in order to burn fat, you can do that easier the more muscle you have, right? And that's the whole purpose of the working out. A lot of people think that they go to the gym and work out and they go do their cardio because that's when I burn fat, right? The hour that I'm in the gym is where I'm getting my fitness results from it. And that's not true. It's really what's happening the other 23 hours of the day. Well, the other 23 hours of the day, if you have more muscle, you will burn more calories, which means you're going to burn more fat. Because muscle is the most metabolic tissue in the body, right? So the more of it we have, the better from a fat loss standpoint. But it really just comes down to, if you're not going to remember to take it, don't worry about it. But I throw mine in my post-workout shake because I'm same as you. I forget to take it, whatever. I just make it all one thing. But it's not needed. And just answering why would you take it? There's why. You'll get better results.
Sure. Yeah. And, I may be coming across like I'm beating supplements down and, it's not really my intention. My focus is just so strong on the basics and just my experience with my community. Most guys aren't covering the basics and are looking for shortcuts. And I just want to make sure they understand that you're not going to take any pill or supplement that's going to give you that shortcut. You have to start with the work, be consistent, and then have that conversation.
Absolutely. We have a hierarchy of needs here.
Yes.
Starts with multivitamin, greens, fish oil, post-workout, then meal replacements, protein. When you get all the way to the top of this hierarchy, you get into creatine, and then you get into pre-workouts, fat burners, anything else that would be symptom related, whether it be a heart health supplement or, something like that, a joint supplement. The hierarchy, and the need lives in those first couple of levels of the hierarchy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see that too. I think you may have sent that to me, but I'd love to see the graphic on that too. I can even share it with the community because it's interesting. So you just mentioned it, fat burners. So we see, cayenne pepper, we see deer antler spray, donkey piss. I mean, all these crazy things. These are fat burners, right? And honestly, at this point, I don't even know what the right answer is because there's good companies selling fat burners, metabolic boosters. I haven't really tried any fat burners since they banned ephedra years and years ago. I used to take Rip Fuel.
Yep.
But is there anything worth the salt as far as these fat burners and these all natural herbs and spices and all these random, goat weed and stuff like that?
I will tell you the best fat burner is muscle. That's the best fat burner there is, right? Is there some validity to fat burners? Most of them, no. But to some of those ingredients that you list, I don't know about the donkey piss or whatever it was that you said.
I just made that one up, of course. But
yeah, no. I mean, it's not far off the mark, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was all done after that ephedra craze, right? Like we all missed that. But no, I mean, there is some validity to some of those ingredients, like Garcinia, Cambogia, you do green coffee bean and green tea. Yes, they do have properties that are going to help you burn fat. The problem you have with fat burners is, again, it is a supplement. You have to be doing the other things right in order to get any type of result from a fat burner. So a lot of people that take fat burners that's all they take, right? They're walking into the drugstore, the grocery store, they see it sitting on an end cap, and they're grabbing this bottle of fat burners and they're going and popping one pill a day. That's not doing anything for them because they're not doing the right things from a nutrition standpoint or a training standpoint to get any result from that fat burner. Outside of the fact that with these ingredients, there are certain effective doses called efficacious dosing. Efficacious dosing is not really, it's not something you find a lot of in fat burners. Most fat burners are what we call pixie dusted, meaning that they'll put just a little pinch, a little dusting of all these different ingredients that you hear about. Goat weed and donkey piss and Garcinia and green coffee and synephrine and all these different things. But there's not enough of any of those in that capsule to have any effect. So are the ingredients good? Yeah, but just not at the levels that they're in there, right? You cannot go get one capsule or two capsules a day that's going to produce a result of any kind whatsoever. But still the problem exists that people rely on those as a crutch versus doing the things that you and I teach, which is go train, go eat correctly. Let's go eat some clean food. Let's get you moving in the right direction that way. I'll get you a lot better results that way. But there are some good fat burners out there from the standpoint that you're doing the other things correct, they will get you a jump start. They'll get you rolling a little faster. But I always say fat burners, they don't make you lose weight. They make you lose more weight faster. But you have to do the other things correctly.
That's a good point. And my biggest issue with that is you throw a label that says fat burner on it, you're going to attract so many people because of that emotional pain that's associated with that. And they think, okay, I need to burn fat, which is, what is that, 60% of this country alone, right?
Yeah.
So you put it in a big store like a Target or a Walmart where tons of people see it, and like, well, clearly this is a legit product. It's here and it says fat burner. So that's my issue with a lot of this stuff is it's just preying on the ignorant. And your job and what I try to do as well is just let's teach people, hey, this is this is right. This is not so right.
No, absolutely, it's a moral thing. For me or for our company, we want to do the right thing by people, and and the other thing a lot of people don't recognize is that it may be in Target, you might see that product there. That product's not regulated by the FDA. There really is no regulating body in the supplement industry. So it's almost the wild, wild west of industries that you can do whatever you want to do. You can say whatever you want to say. I can put whatever I want on the label, and there's no one to slap my hand. As long as I'm not doing something that's harmful to someone, the FDA is never going to step in. So
yeah, it's scary. It's scary, man.
Yeah, and I think and that's where, again, going back to doing the right thing. Like we invested in a manufacturing facility that is again, the FDA does not regulate the industry, but we built our manufacturing plant and we run it so that is FDA compliant, if you will. It's an SQF level 3 facility. It's the highest level FDA approval that you can get. And there are really only a couple of supplement companies in the country that manufacture to that degree of quality. But for us, it's just about doing the right thing for people. And I'm putting these things in my body. I certainly want to know what's in them, right? So even though the FDA doesn't say we can or can't do something, they certainly have guidelines and they say this is the way it should be done. Well, I'm going to follow that because they're pretty smart, right? They know what's good for you, what's bad for you. So we're going to make sure that what's in our product is what it says on the label. What's on the label is exactly what's in there, so you know as a consumer that you're getting what we say you're getting. So that's the other thing I would have people look for when they buy supplements. If they manufacture an FDA regulated or FDA inspected facility is technically what it's called. There'll be a little stamp on that bottle that will say FDA inspected facility. That's important from a consumer standpoint, just from a safety aspect.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So why don't we see you guys in stores? Why don't we see 1stPhorm at CVS and Walmart and all that stuff?
Education. That's what it comes down to for us. You will find us in some supplement stores across the country. We mainly stick to some of the smaller supplement companies that are, they're private owned. Typically only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations because we found that those smaller stores or smaller chains will spend the time to educate themselves because they need some type of advantage to stand out against a GNC or what you can find on Amazon or bodybuilding.com. We're comfortable working with those, quote, mom and pops, and we can go in and say, hey, here's how our products are made. Here's why they're made this way. Here's how you talk about this product and why. Because this is what the consumer needs to know from an education standpoint to get results. Well, in order to really spread our mission of helping as many people as possible get the best results possible, we need some avenues. So we rely on an independent sales rep network because bringing these people in allows us to educate them so that they can go out and educate their clients or their mom, their dad, their brother, sister, friend, coworker, people that follow them online. They can truly educate them because they know the difference. So to throw our supplements into Walmart, there's no education there. There's no one there to say, hey, if you're not going to put in the work, if you're not going to change your diet, don't buy this product because it's a waste of money.
Yep. Yeah. And I can attest to that because I get a weekly email, at least one a week from 1stPhorm. And these are big emails with tons of information with links to webinars and education-based, information. So it's great. So you're actually learning about the stuff and why and what's behind it. And I haven't seen other companies do that at all.
No, they are long. You're going to have to spend 3 or 4 minutes reading through that email. But
Oh yeah.
It's one of those things that you feel like it's worth it. If we're going to put information out, it needs to be, 1, it has to be correct information. 2, we've got to teach people, got to teach the why behind it too, right? Because if they understand the why, it becomes a little bit more important to them. Well, why do I have to eat protein every 3 hours? Well, here's why. Oh, okay. In that case, I'll do it. Versus just preaching at them that, hey, here, you need to buy this.
Yep. So I have one more question for you. It's another question from a guy in my community, but I'm curious about this too because I have no experience with it. And you hear guys talk about like Tim Ferriss or Aubrey Marcus from the guy that runs On It, talk about brain boosters, products that help with mental clarity and focus and memory. And, I don't know much about that at all. I'm curious to hear. I don't even know if you guys even are in that market at all or what your experience with that stuff is.
Yeah, we are in that market. Not heavily. It's not something that we're going out and trying to compete with On It, necessarily on the internet and social media and running ads to it. But, again, I'll say it again, the body, every process that happens in the body is driven by nutrients, specifically micronutrients. Well, if we're deficient somewhere, we're not going to be as efficient. Well, if we can provide the body the nutrients it needs in order to function more efficiently, you're going to get a better result. And that comes to the brain too. If omega-3s, if you can get your omega-3s up, you're going to decrease inflammation. It's going to help with cognitive health and function. It's going to help with memory. The brain formulas, if you will, they're just providing the body the nutrients that it needs in order for the brain to work better, right? And that's really where we live, right? We're just providing the body with what it needs in order to produce some type of result with the good ones. And I'd say Onyx is a good one. There are a lot of them that are like the fat burners where there's nothing to them, but they can claim whatever they want on the label, so they sell them. But the good ones are providing the body with what it needs in order to function optimally. In this case, again, it's cognitive function. So if you're not as efficient right now as you possibly could be because you're short on some nutrients, introducing those nutrients into your diet is going to produce that result that they claim that they're going to produce, that you have a better memory or better clarity or you think faster. That's true, right? Because your brain's awesome. And as long as you can feed it correctly, it will function better.
Got it. Makes sense. I'll have to do some more research, but I was just curious to hear your thoughts. I see it and I'm like, I don't really think much about it. So, it's good to know. It's good to know. So, listen, I know you're kind of a behind the scenes guy with the company. So, where should I direct people listening to find out more about 1stPhorm?
I'd really just direct them to 1stPhorm.com, or we do a lot on social media. At 1stPhorm, which form is spelled with a PH in our case. So 1stPhorm on Instagram or on Facebook. Again, you'll find that we're very open. We're very interactive with our fans. We're just normal people here, and we show our lives and our struggles, and just come along with us for the ride. But on social media, following 1stPhorm would be the best place.
Okay, I mean, it's a great community. It's a big community, very engaged. And I know you guys do that big. Is it an annual challenge?
Yeah, so we run an annual transformation challenge. And we break it up into 8-week sprints, if you will. Now, most people aren't going to get where they need to go in 8 weeks, but we can certainly get them going in the right direction in 8 weeks. And so for the last several years, we've done a $250,000 transformation challenge. Transformation spelled with a PH, just like everything else we do. And the whole contest is called My Transformation Starts Today. The website is mytransformationstartstoday.com. And the whole idea is today's the best day to start. Doesn't matter what day it is. It's not next Monday. It's not the first of the year. It's not right after the wedding I'm going to. It's today. So make the commitment. Start your transformation today. And it's been a great platform for us to really help people. We provide a lot of resources there. We've got a great Facebook community for those what we call transformers. We do lives on a daily basis within that group. We answer a lot of questions. Again, very interactive, but it's been really, really cool to see the last few years, just the lives that we've been able to change because we're educating people. And it's not about supplements. It's about knowledge, and it's about motivation. It's about holding each other accountable and getting people going. And one, left foot, right foot, one foot in front of the other type of thing. We can keep people moving, and it's a lot easier to keep moving if you're doing it as a group. Because everybody's pushing you. So it's been really, really cool to see some of these people. We just announced our winners for last year, and a guy that lost a little over 100 pounds in 2018 followed the plan, and a female that won that last sprint challenge that completely transformed her body and just, which, as you know, Steve, when you transform your body, you transform your mind, and it just makes life better. And I know. As guys and as dads, we don't really spend a lot of time focused on ourselves, probably as much as we should. But I'll tell you what, that if we can focus on our physical self, that will make our mental self better. You will be a better dad if you're in better physical condition. It's weird how it happens, but it does, and we see it time and time again. And I will say, our winner from last year, that was it. The first thing he says, "I'm a better dad now." And that was what really mattered to him, was transforming his life physically so that he could transform his life emotionally and mentally. And it's really cool to be a part of that process for people, and interacting with them throughout the journey.
Yeah, man, exactly. And that's exactly what I teach. Yep. Start taking care of your mind, you take care of your body, everything will get better in your life. And yes, ultimately, you become a better dad, a better husband, and so it all snowballs. So yeah, so this has been awesome, man. I appreciate your time here, and after I put this up, I'm sure I'll get some questions, and maybe we'll get to do another call at some point where we can dig into some specifics on what people are most interested in.
Hey, Steve, I love helping, so I'll talk to you anytime. I appreciate you and everything you're doing, and honored to be on the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.